Yeah, well, over the years I've done small sort of bits of volunteering, but the main volunteering path, if you like, that I've had over a number of years is being a Samaritan. And I stopped being a Samaritan a few years ago because I couldn't actually fit it in anymore. But I think that has been the most rewarding volunteering role that I've had.
So could you just explain about the Samaritans, what they do and how you got involved with them?
Yeah, I basically saw an advert in the news shopper in Bromley. I'd just moved to the area and was looking for something to do and thought, yes, that really appeals to me. I want to try to make a difference if I can, and I'll look into it. So I had experienced a close family member's suicide when I was younger, so I think I had a particular interest in suicide, if you like, if that doesn't sound odd, but sort of more around what a shame somebody didn't have someone to talk to. You know, I think that's a very, very important thing. I think we all need that. And so made an appointment, went down and had a chat, and then had an interview, and was interviewed and selected. Fairly strict selection procedure, because obviously you've got to have somebody that's able to listen, I think, and someone that can offer that sort of reliability and regularity. Then training took place, and I have to say the Samaritan training is excellent. I would say it's about 6 months, and you have ongoing training sessions as well. But in that training I learnt what stresses people have in their lives, what their difficulties can be, and I learnt how it isn't useful as a Samaritan to be a friend on the phone. There's advice to be had aplenty around us, and if I relate a problem to you, you would probably very easily give me some advice. And that's not terribly useful in a Samaritan role. So in your training you learn that you are alongside somebody, and you are, if you like, on their side, but you're not trying to problem solve, you're trying to help them problem solve. So you may say to somebody on the telephone that's perhaps struggling or in a crisis, what do you think you can do? Samaritans need to be able to communicate well to people that are struggling, but you're not there to give out a lot of advice and problem solve. You're there to truly listen. So you're employing sort of active listening skills where you're encouraging people to talk to you, and maybe saying to them, what's this struggle about? What are your thoughts? What do you think you can do? And exploring that with them. We Samaritans need to ask anybody that contacts them if they are feeling suicidal. That is something we must ask. And it's a very powerful question. And some people will immediately say no, and some will say yes with relief because somebody's actually asked them the question.
Did you feel like the first time you went solo answering the phone?
I remember it really well. I even could see what I was wearing because I was pretty scared, pretty nervous, but excited too. And it felt like almost the end of something because our training had been so strong and so supportive, and then we were sort of the fledglings going in to take calls. And the first duty that I did, I had my mentor alongside me, and they actually sit in the booth with you. So if you struggle, they can supply help to you. And so that was very reassuring. But even so, I kept thinking that I'm going to get a really, really difficult call and I'm going to have to do something dramatic, and of course that didn't happen. And it wasn't at all the dramatic thing I expected to be. I expected that it would be. I just gained confidence pretty quickly. I thought, actually, I'm looking around, I can do this, it is okay. When you leave the centre, you leave it behind you. That's what your training tells you to do. And don't take it away with you into your ordinary life. But there's such a strong support mechanism in the Samaritans. There's support there for you. New recruits have mentors that sit with them when they're taking their course in the early days, and really, really helps. There's a lot of support there. So it never feels too heavy or too difficult. As well as doing my Samaritan duties on the phone, I was on the talks team there, so we went to schools and talked to children in schools about the importance of talking to somebody if things feel difficult. And they could be quite funny, and we made them laugh, but we tried to impart a serious message, and I think it was a very sort of powerful thing to do. And then I went into prison, Belmarsh Prison, to train inmates in Belmarsh in the principles of Samaritans listening. It's called the Listeners Scheme in prisons. All around the country they have these schemes. And they are people that are inmates that have been trained to listen to other inmates that are going through a crisis. Also asking the suicide question, also employing the same principles of training that Samaritans have learned. And that was immensely rewarding. Many of those people had not had any sort of real sort of psychological insight, if you like, developed in them. They'd not had certificates, which they got when they became a listener. They'd not sort of had any sort of responsibility around this sort of thing. And so I think it was an amazing thing for them to experience. And they would report back and say, oh my goodness, it's not only has it helped me listen to somebody on the next wing that was struggling, it's also helped me in my own life, in my own relationships. I know how to listen to my partner when they ring. Because not only does it help the people that are being listened to, it massively helps the people that have been trained to listen, because they have a much clearer understanding about the importance of communicating feelings. And I truly believe that that is important, and I know not everybody feels that, but I do. I think sharing helps. It's been my experience that having your emotional pain witnessed by somebody who knows how to listen is a very powerful thing.